here, all the way around to death at the other side of the doorway, with pieces of artwork and ephemera memorabilia placed throughout along the walls. Do you know that Andy Warhol is from Pittsburgh? Originally, this is where he was born. He was of Czechoslovakian descent. His parents moved here sometime between like 1912, 1920 in stages, brought the family over and started to have kids and built up the Warhol family. And Warhol is the family's last name. Andy, when he got older, dropped the A. Some say it was originally a misprint, and he just stuck with that and left the A off of the end. But he was born in 1928. He was a Depression-era kid from a very common family in a very common city of Pittsburgh. They were skilled laborers and people who just had sort of run-of-the-mill, for lack of better words, real people jobs, very down to earth. And they had no family car. He was the youngest of three. They had decent but fairly modest means. And his mother was really the guiding influence as far as parents were concerned, because his father passed away when he was relatively young. And you can see some really compelling images of his early years and what he looked like over in this corner. Black and white shot, he and a group of people is the day of his father's funeral. And you can see there that it's on this wall. He looks sort of peaked and tenuous, to say the least. It's a very emotional day for him, as it would be for anybody else. But Andy, as I understand, was sort of frail in health and maybe a little bit emotionally too. He started off pretty quiet, pretty shy, auspicious beginnings for someone who would go on to become an international icon. Perhaps won't be, if not perhaps the greatest American artist. So what I'd like to point out is that visually on the timeline, you can see him changing and developing. As with any of us, you look at photos from your past, you see yourself when you're 10, when you're 20, when you're 30, when you're 40, and there's an evolution there. In terms of mass media and how Andy Warhol staged himself to become this presence and this being who not only was part of, but in part controlled the system of synchronized consciousness through mass media. There's the boy from Pittsburgh, from common roots, who's sort of slender and shy and not real confident about his looks. And then there's the exterior, the brand, if you will, that Andy Warhol started to build up. And he built confidence and skills going from his humble beginnings as part of an immigrant family in the streets of Pittsburgh to getting into Carnegie Tech, which is now CMU, Carnegie Mellon University, graduating from there with a degree in illustration and graphic design, and going to New York and getting a job in advertising. And he gets to New York and really hits his stride. He works in advertising. If you're familiar with the television show Mad Men, anybody? Okay, it would have been around that same era, that same style of time. He was an ad man in New York City and doing quite well for himself. And you see him still looking sort of like a kid from Pittsburgh, maybe, with a baggy suit and glasses over here. And then he gets his first job in New York. And in his own words, he said, "Getting my first job in New York and sort of getting out of Pittsburgh is my definition of success." So many people probably relate to that, getting out of your small town and getting into a bigger market. And just getting to New York City is having a sensibility of, I want to attach myself to mass media, to the mainstream. And so he's thinking, if I'm going to be this entity, I don't want to be this guy, I don't want to look like that. And you can see these Polaroids in the corner that are really cute, really humanizing, and sort of show some secrets about his personality, and that he was uncomfortable with his hair falling out. You see him drawing hair in the photo. He had a nose job when he got to New York. And you see a big jump from what he looked like in the 1950s going into the 60s, where he becomes this much sleeker, cooler, if not aloof and stylish entity that we begin to really recognize as a conglomerate around, as a pop entity.
I wanted to make a comment too. As they mentioned, I think he deserves an They didn't have television. When he got a little bit older, they got a radio, but as far as his access to the media, it was limited to the written word and the newspaper.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think interesting generational fact. Well, something else he did when he was a kid. This is, I want to ask you guys a question. Anybody here, as a little kid, ever had a celebrity fascination, or a crush, or just fixation on any sort of particular famous person, celebrity, movie star? Who?
No.
Yeah, but who was yours? Who's that?
Took in one of my daughters.
Okay. Anybody else have one?
You have a kid who's like has a social celebrity who's a family. Is you
Nothing really American.
No, it can be what?
Who cares? Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie Chaplin.
Davy Jones and the Monkeys.
Davy Jones and Monkeys. That's excellent. Alright, cool. So Andy Warhol, as a little kid, was even early on, he was fascinated with celebrity and that sort of like glamour of the stardom of Hollywood look. His cute little headshot. He would write to the studios who owned kind of the rights to all of these celebrities, or like at least like held their interest in movies for them. So he would write to the studio and say, please send me a signed headshot or a signed glossy of these celebrities. So he has from Shirley Temple to Andy Warhol from Shirley Temple. And this is one of the things that he did. I mentioned that he was sort of frail. He was a sickly kid to a degree, and he spent a lot of time indoors or even in bed. He had a disorder called St. Vitus's dance, or which known as chorea. And so his mother would keep him busy with lots of different creative activities, everything from paper dolls to painting eggs, crafting things, and scrapbooking was one of them. So this is while he may have been instead, if he was healthier outdoors, throwing a baseball, playing, or whatever, he was inside doing this sort of